This is the Investing News Network, and I'm Georgia Williams. We're here in Toronto at day 2 of the PDAC conference. Joining me today is Patrick Cruickshank, CEO and Director of 9 Mile Metals. Nice to meet you, Patrick.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How have you been?
I've been great. I've been cold, but I've been great.
I was wondering if we could start with your ticker symbol and what exchanges you trade on.
We're traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Our ticker symbol is 9. We're also on Tradegate in Germany, Frankfurt, Berlin, OTC in the US, and I think that's it for right now.
Fabulous. It's day 2 of PDAC. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about any of the conversations you're hearing about copper or, investor sentiment.
Yes, yesterday I was invited to be on a panel for Critical Minerals Forum, and that was very interesting, and obviously with Canada and the U.S. and the increase in critical mineral list and the support from the federal government and provincial governments, and I think New Brunswick, our jurisdiction, is having their big announcement today on that. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue. So 9 Mile Metals is a Canadian exploration company focused on critical minerals and volcanogenic massive sulfides in the historic Bathurst Mining Camp. Can you provide an overview of the company's asset base and the strategic focus on the district?
Sure. It's a mature mining camp. It is about the 3rd largest mining camp in the world. There's 45 deposits, 25 of them over 1 million tons. We call it VMS for short. You can say the bigger words. I'm not so good. But VMS, which is your copper, lead, zinc, silver, and gold, all in one deposit. They're very rich. They're very large, but they're very small footprint because they're about 95% pure mineralization. And the challenge we have, and we have 4 projects. We have California Lake, Canoe Landing Lake, east and west, which surrounds the Canoe Lake deposit, which goes onto our properties. Our flagship Wedge mine, and our other flagship, which is 9 Mile Brook, which we press released on this morning.
Oh, can you give us a little update on the news?
So this morning, so that is a lens, and a lens is the deposits in the Bathurst camp. It's 470 million year old VMS camp, and it's when the volcano and the smokers spit out the deposits and they form, they're solid. Mm-hmm. But over 470 million years of Pangea breaking up and tectonic and flips and folding, they're all broken into pieces, and each piece is considered a lens, and together cumulative, on average, 5 to 6 lenses make up a big, massive deposit. The biggest, I think the 3rd biggest in the world was the Brunswick 12, which was 335 million tons.
Wow.
And it stopped mining after 50 years, not because it ran out of ore, but because it was so deep. Because they're vertical, so they're hard to find. They're underground, subsurface, so we're using new leading edge technology to find these now. And it went down over a mile. Wow. Yeah. So these are massive deposits. This morning's news is exciting. It's been over a year. I've been working with Glencore and SGS Labs. We have our flagship 9 Mile Brook project, which is the highest grade lens ever found in the Bathurst camp. And we found the first one, right? So it's almost 20% copper, 38% lead zinc with 3 to 4 ounces of silver and between 0.5 and 2 grams per ton gold. And it's 15 meters and then a hard break. Okay. So that's where it broke. So now our job is to find the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. So we're using new advanced UAV drone technology that can shoot down to 800-900 meters in the ground and give us 3D. And we just finished our placement for $5.5 million. So we don't need any funding for about 2 years, and we're going to go drill.
Congratulations. Yeah. And like you were saying, this year the company has announced its first drill results from its campaign at the past producing Wedge copper mine.
Correct.
Can you walk us through those and what were the
highlights?
Sure.
In the 50s and early 60s, the Wedge mine was in production. But remember, back then it was just lead zinc. Mm-hmm. They didn't really produce copper, gold, silver in the mill. So they didn't. It wasn't visible gold, so they just never even assayed for it. But the head pillar collapsed after they mined about 1/3 of it. So there's 2/3 left, and we've taken on the job. 2 years ago, we had a drill program on the east extension, brand new. We hit on all our holes, improved up a couple million tons. Now we're drilling this fall because they're vertical, at the depth, and seeing how deep it goes, and it goes west. So we're going to continue that phase 3, but we just released our first drill hole couple weeks ago, and we just got the results for our second one. We're working on putting that together and getting that release out. So what we have found, and we've put out releases with photos, is it's a very copper-rich deposit. Mm-hmm. So not traditional VMS with the lead zinc. There's a new lens, a copper lens, that no one had known of. So even going these orphan mines, there's a strategy there, and our strategy is to prove it up to 10 million plus tons. And these deposits also cluster like pearls. Mm-hmm. So we have 2 other targets to the west of it that we're going to try and to discover a deposit extension and hopefully have an economic mine.
Yeah, absolutely. As a past producing asset, is there any tailings reprocessing potential?
No, so it's because it happened in the 60s, and Caminco was the company, and I think Teck bought it, and they had to shut it down. And but we have it now, and we're going to bring it back to life. And obviously, the metal prices are very different today than they were in the 60s. When you add the copper and the gold and the silver that they weren't producing, just the lead zinc. And that's kind of revitalized the whole camp, So it's it looks like brighter days ahead in Bathurst for a while.
Absolutely. And, with higher commodity prices, what does that do for you guys and, your potential to attract investors?
Well, like I said, the copper, the gold, and the silver, obviously, used to be just the extras on a VMS deposit. Now they're like, that's a big part of the economics. Right. And because they are such rich deposits, you have the ability for an open pit. Because they're small deposits on footprint, because they're only about 1,000 meters of surface footprint, but they can go down 1 to 2 miles. Yeah. And it's 95% pure mineral. So it's very economic once you have a discovery and find one. But there's also a strategy happening because the liquidity is back in the market, that majors are coming, and they are looking at a regional roll-up strategy, because you can have 10 to 20 deposits all cumulatively toll milling at a mill and be economic. So you just, we have one mill there at the Caribou, but it's offline right now with Trevali's bankruptcy, and it also doesn't do copper, gold, silver. So it's got to get upgraded. So there is a spotlight to get more deposits and justify. We've always wanted a second new mill there in the camp. So hopefully commodity prices and a long bull market will help that.
Absolutely. And this year the company is focused on copper, which has reached all-time highs.
Yes. And,
there's a strong long-term supply and demand outlook. How do rising copper prices support 9 Mile Metals' exploration strategy?
Well, it doesn't really drive ours. Like VMS, you're going to have the 5 elements, right? And actually, we have indium now in our 9 Mile Brook, which is for flat panel TVs and touchscreens. So there's all these new critical minerals in the mix, the blend that they're finding. So it does help with our awareness out there and our ability to differentiate ourselves as a VMS or critical mineral company. It does help with our placements and flow through funding, obviously, for Canadians and Canadian institutions. But there's a lot now with the U.S. and critical minerals, with the Department of Defense now allowing their funding to go to Canadian companies, Canadian projects, and vice versa. And they're all looking for critical mineral stockpile buying now, because they never had it like the oil. So it's all these kind of stars are lining up for the industry after a long time. And I think it's going to be a very good elongated market. Yeah. I mean, Canada's been very supportive with this Rock to Road, Building Canada Act, shorting the permitting for mining licenses down from 20 years to about 5.
Which is much better.
Instead of doing, your provincial and then going after 5 years doing your federal and then getting them all to talk. Right. They got to streamline it quick as possible, because a lot of critical minerals, for us, we're very fortunate to be in the Bathurst camp, which is year-round access and a mining community and deep water ports and rail, and Irving helped put in all the logging roads and everything. But a lot of the critical minerals in Canada are in the Arctic. Yeah. There's no roads, 20 miles from anything. So you got to get that infrastructure in there to be on the map. But Canada's lucky. We're first in potash. We're first in in uranium. We're first in fresh water,
Yeah.
second in nickel. So critical minerals is very important to Canada, and I think I think New Brunswick today is having their announcement on their support, federally and provincially. So that's even the premier's here today. So we couldn't be luckier to be in Bathurst, to be honest.
Absolutely. And, it has a rich history of mining, and the infrastructure is there, like you were saying, which is so important because, once you get it out of the ground, you want to be able to take it where it has to go.
Yeah, and the other thing is, we've learned with VMS deposits that the best place to find a VMS deposit is in the shadows of another VMS deposit.
Right.
And it's been proven time after time. The He Steel, the Half Mile, the Strap Mat, the Brunswick 12 and the Brunswick 6, they cluster like daisy chain of pearls. And we believe we have that on the Wedge. We have the Wedge mine, and right on trend, our next target called the West Wedge, and then the Tri-Bag. So that's over 6 kilometers, and we hope we'll be testing that this year. We've already announced that drill program, so
A lot of
we're going to
potential.
be active.
Yeah.
We're going to be active finally.
Looking ahead, what are the key near-term catalysts investors should be watching for, and how do those build into your company's longer-term vision for growth in the Bathurst Mining Camp?
Besides our exploration program and drilling our already defined targets with our proprietary geophysics that we use, and it's not so much the UAV drone data collection, it's the interpretation, the algorithms that sets apart those companies, right? And we have taken our whole portfolio and done that 2 years ago, and we have back tested it with, did the technology find the existing deposits? Or did it not? Well,
Right.
it did, but also the mirror images of those deposits are our new targets. So when you filter it out, and we do hundreds of layers of geophysical 3D modeling, and so we have qualified targets. We just announced today, announced phase 1 of our bulk sample at the 9 Mile Brook lens, that high grade, ultra high grade land. It's so, what we're testing right now with SGS is, recoveries and doing all the metallurgical and mineralogical analytical tests, but they're crushing and preparing it, 2 samples for Glencore. So Glencore, because normally you go to a mill and then to a smelter with concentrate.
Right.
It's so high grade, we're maybe going straight to the smelter when you get up, 10, 12, 15, 20% copper. So Glencore's, we just announced they're going to be doing their proprietary testing for their Horn Mill. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're pretty excited. So hopefully, and again, the whole community of companies in the Bathurst camp, we're all very friendly.
Yeah.
So one helps all.
Yeah. And with a high grade like that and being able to bypass that one step, does that save you money in the long run?
Well, it does, and
Yeah.
and there's different, and even if it's not considered as high grade, you can always blend it. We also have other ways to do that bulk sample, and that's really the test for the economics and for the mineralogy, because even if you go to a mill, you're going to have to tweak it for the mineralogy of your deposit.
Yeah.
So in essence, if we wanted to take our bulk sample and go to Kidd Creek, they'd have to tweak their mill for our ore
Okay.
because of the process, because we have high copper, they may have low copper and high lead zinc, and ours is, everything's unique, but it's very economic.
Yeah.
So we're very excited, but it's also that first step on processing feasibility and stuff, right? So, and again, we'd love nothing to announce lens 2 and 3 and 4.
Absolutely.
That's our job.
Yeah.
Get out there and find it. But
Yeah.
there's only 1% outcrop, so everything's hidden. Everything's underground. All the easy ones have been found. But that's why you need this technology. And about every 20 years, there's a new technology that comes in geophysics, whether it's gravity or magnetics or whatever. And that's where we are now with the UAV drones going down 700-800 meters and giving you 3D modeling. So you can hit mineralization, you still have to drill it and go, what's the grade and how thick is it? What's the width? So we're getting much, much better at finding the minerals. It's just, is it economic, right?
Right. Absolutely. Well, I look forward to speaking with you again soon and getting more updates on the 9 Mile Metals story.
Yes, thank you for having us today.
Thank you for joining me, Patrick. I'm Georgia Williams, and that was Patrick Cruickshank of 9 Mile Metals.